Okay, so one of the conversations we're having really regularly with our clients is that they get very frustrated at the borrowing capacity or the purchasing power of their self-managed super fund. Self-managed super fund loans are difficult to service, and we are very often finding ourselves being the bearer of bad news in terms of this is how much you can spend with your self-managed super fund. And clients get frustrated. And I said, well, let's talk about it and let's try to see why this is like it is. So I've used an example here which is absolutely typical of what we would see. Mum and dad have set up their self-managed super fund and they're looking at buying the property. They come to us to get the loan organized, and here's a conversation we have is that, you know, they want to spend $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, maybe more, and we have to go back and say, actually, even for $500,000 property, this is going to be very, very tight, and you probably can't do it. On the board behind me are the reasons why. So in this particular case, we're looking at a couple, so member number 1 and member number 2. We're assuming that one person is earning $100,000 per annum and the second person is earning $50,000 per annum. We're assuming that the property is worth $500,000 and that the super fund wants to borrow for $400,000. And if you look at the cash flow for the self-managed super fund, it actually makes sense that the bank wouldn't be too happy to accommodate that request. So on the one side, we've got the money that's going to come into the self-managed super fund. That is the employer's contributions for member number 1 and the employer's contributions for member number 2. And that's at the 9.5% rate, which is what the government is requiring from the employer. We've got a rental income of $20,000. It will vary from property to property, but 4 to 4.5% rental return is not uncommon. And that gives us a total income of $33,750. On the other side, we have loan repayments, and that's on a 30-year loan at 5.5% of interest, which would be pretty typical of your self-managed super fund loan. That's just over $27,000 a year of loan repayments. We've assumed that the administration for the self-managed super fund, being the tax return, the audit, the company renewal and whatnot, is going to cost $2,500 per year, which is, again, pretty realistic. And the cost associated with holding that property would be just 1% of the property value, which is actually probably on the optimistic side of life. And what we find is that the self-managed super fund has had to extend over $34,000 to hold, to spend over the year. So we've got income, which is less than the outgoings, and that's without any buffer, that's without anything going wrong, that's without even putting the bank's goggles on to look at that loan application. So we've got a couple who combined are earning $150,000, and it's actually not easy to service a loan for $400,000. That is the reality of self-managed super fund lending. There are things which can be done to improve that situation. One is salary sacrifice. If this lovely couple here was in a position personally to give up some of their income and contribute it into their super, that is going to increase the income from the super, potentially quite substantially, and boost their borrowing capacity. Fantastic. The other thing is the rental income. That couple, if they want to spend more, may have to focus on properties that deliver higher rental income, whether they be commercial or residential. And these are the two main levers that can be used to actually increase the borrowing capacity of a self-managed super fund. But it is difficult, and it is due to the nature of a self-managed super fund, which has a limited amount of income by nature.